Hi everyone and welcome, bienvenidos, varongo, to the Hedera AI Agent Hackathon for this year, 2025. Let's begin. For those of you who have registered already, thank you. And for those of you tuning in and just hearing about this hackathon for the first time, please go ahead and do so now. To do so, scan the QR code on the screen or navigate to this URL. We'll add the links to the comment section below. I'll introduce myself. I'm Brendan, a DevRel engineer at Hashgraph. You can find me with the handle at BGUIZ on the internet, and I use the same handle within the Hedera Discord too, so come and say hi. I'm one of the mentors in this hackathon alongside some of my colleagues at Hashgraph from Hashgraph Online DAO and some prominent members of the Hedera ecosystem. Today, I'll be talking you through this hackathon. Here's what we'll cover today. 3 main things. First is what you'll be building in this hackathon. Next, we'll walk through some of the tools and workshops and cover some tips on how to win this hackathon. And finally, some key administrative points. Let's dive in. What to build? Let's start with a really big number, 30K in prizes, with 10K for each of the three tracks. 1 track for HCS10, 1 track for ELIZA, and 1 track for Agent Kit or MCP. For track 1, in this track, what we'd like you to build on top of Hedera is 2 brand new technical standards that are great for on-chain AI agents. These standards are HIP 991 and HCS10. Before we get into HCS10, let's first talk about HCS 991, which is important to understand first. So the baseline HCS allows you to post short messages into topics. This is like a message queue, but on a blockchain. HIP 991 adds to this. It allows the owner of an HCS topic to collect fees from users each time a user posts a message to their topic. This is going to be super useful in AI agent applications because all the AI agent needs to do is to read the message from the topic, and that's it. The fact that the message exists on that particular topic that it is monitoring means that the topic owner has already been paid. No need to check for a wallet balance, inspect transactions, etc. Simply, the message exists, okay, boom, let's go. The AI agent already knows that it has been paid for its compute and it can simply focus on doing its work. The other really cool feature is that the fee that a topic collects is not only payable in HBAR, the native currency, but you can also set it to any HTS fungible token. The possibility that this opens up is that AI agents can define their own currency, and that's yet another monetization route. The awesome thing about Hedera is that all this is now baked right in at the protocol level, which makes it super easy for you to start building monetized AI agents on Hedera. HIP 991 provides the baseline infrastructure, so let's get to the actual AI agent part of it. HCS10 is a standard for building AI agents which communicate with each other and with humans via HCS topics. Essentially, each agent has an inbound HCS topic and an outbound HCS topic. A human prompting an HCS10 AI agent does so by adding their prompt as a message to the HCS topic. By the way, if the inbound HCS topic uses HIP 991, then the AI agent has already earned revenue from it. The AI agent monitors this topic for new messages, and when it sees them, picks them up, and it invokes an LLM, performs a RAG, calls MCP servers, makes LangChain tool calls, etc., perhaps multiple times. The AI agent does whatever it needs to do for its purpose, and this part all happens off-chain. When it has an output, it takes that and writes that as a message to its outbound HCS topic. At this point, the human who originally prompted it, and perhaps even other AI agents built using HCS10, read the outputs. What this means is that we have got on-chain human-to-agent and agent-to-agent communications happening on the blockchain, and it's all enabled through HCS10. If you would like to learn more about HCS10 and how to use it together with HIP 991, who better to hear it from than the original authors of the standard and also implementers of the SDK that is used to work with it. So both Michael Cantor and Ty Smith, also known as Patches, will be part of next week's workshop. We'll add the detail for this shortly to the Hackathon page. Let's move on to track 2 for ELIZA. Here is the link to the Hedera plugin for ELIZA OS. So scan the QR code or look for ELIZA within the Hedera Dev GitHub org. I also have a workshop around using this Hedera plugin on ELIZA, so scan that QR code to follow along. Note that this was recorded before ELIZA changed its plugin architecture, but apart from that, it should all be pretty much the same. We've also got a live stream with my colleague Jake and Shaw, the co-founder of ELIZA. You can watch the replay of that by scanning this QR code. Let's move on to track 3, which is for building with Hedera Agent Kit or with MCP. Hedera has an agent kit which you can check out at this link. An agent kit is essentially something that sits between the AI agent and some system it needs to interact with, in this case the Hedera blockchain. The AI agent or the LLM backing it doesn't actually know how to talk to Hedera. So if you enter what is HBAR balance account or for account 001234, for example, as your prompt, you'll likely just get hallucinated data. This is with a pure LLM. Instead, if you connect your LLM inside of your AI agent to Hedera Agent Kit and therefore give it access to direct access to the interacting with the Hedera blockchain, the LLM will work out that to answer that same prompt as before, it simply needs to invoke functions within the agent kit. The LLM's job then becomes parsing the free-form human text and performing programmatic invocations of the agent kit functions. When the agent kit responds, the LLM's job is to take that raw data and integrate it into its text output. The Hedera agent kit essentially tells LLM the list of all the things it is capable of doing via metadata, and also it exposes the functions that implement those things. The Hedera agent kit, like any other agent kit, doesn't really do anything on its own. It is designed to be integrated or used within an AI agent. And that is precisely what this workshop is about, where you can see it in action. LangGraph.js is a library that is built by the folks at LangChain, and it allows you to build AI agents and agentic workflows by providing the tools to easily manage and interact with the LLMs and to wire multiple nodes together. On GitHub, in the Hedera Dev GitHub organization, find a repo for Hedera AI Agent Workshop LangGraph. In this repo, you'll see that there are a few different agents within it. For today, I'd like to focus on just two of them, which are in the files kitagent.js and mcpagent.js. So kitagent essentially takes the Hedera agent kit and extracts all the functions that it exposes, converting them into LangChain tools, and then uses those tools in the AI agent. Scan this QR code to watch the full video on how I built this type of AI agent. Before we get into that, let's quickly run over what MCP is. It stands for Model Context Protocol, MCP, and has defined a way in which AI agents can invoke external functionality in a standardized way. A big emphasis on that last part, in a standardized way. I'd recommend this article by Adi Osmani if you're completely new to the concept. QR code on the screen. One way to think of MCP is that it is like a USB-C connector. Before USB-C, all your devices would transmit audio, video, other data, and electricity to each other using a myriad of different cables. Many times your hardware devices would simply not work with each other because they had a different type of port for their wires. Along comes USB-C and all that disappears. Suddenly, all the devices can connect to each other, at least at a hardware level. MCP is like that, except instead of connecting hardware, it's all about connecting AI agents to various services. It's a universal connector for AI agents, and MCP servers, all of them, speak a compatible protocol or language. By way of example, a very popular MCP server is Firecrawl. In this case, you could tell your AI agent something like, get me the first 3 results on traveler.com for flights from Singapore to Adelaide on these dates. And the LLM would interpret that, realize that since it has access to Firecrawl, it could make an MCP request that would scrape that data. The results would then be assembled back into a format that the LLM can interpret by the MCP server, which then gets integrated into its chat response. And there's an even more powerful thing, which is when the same LLM or the same AI agent is connected to multiple MCP servers and integrates that data together. That very prompt that I just used as an example, right? That couldn't technically be done entirely using Firecrawl. It would be best to combine that with other MCP agents that know how to do a few more things in addition to that, just scraping. All right, now that we know what MCP is, we can build our own MCP server for Hedera. Continuing in the same repo as before, we can take a look at mcpagent.js. Scan this QR code to follow along with how to do this. Here's a quick recap. Hedera has something called a mirror node API, which is built using an open API specification. These APIs are simple HTTP requests, and because it has been exposed through a standardized specification, it makes it easy to convert. So we're going from one protocol or one standard open API to another one, which is MCP. So this makes it easy, right? We can use a library to perform the conversion from open API specs to create an MCP server. And with that MCP server, we can use another library to wrap around the MCP server to convert that to LangChain tools, and then we can use it in our LangGraph.js based AI agent. Let's move on to code highlights and tips. So this is the repo for the Hedera agent kit. And within the repo, I'd recommend skimming the code base in these particular files within the repo to get an understanding of how it works under the hood. I'll leave links to these files, direct links to these files in the comments or descriptions. And likewise, this is the repo for the Hedera ELIZA plugin. Within this repo, I'd recommend skimming the code as well for these particular files and use that to get an understanding on how it works under the hood as well. Again, I'll leave the links in the description. This is where to find the code for the LangGraph.js AI agent that makes use of the Hedera agent kit. So again, skim the code here or watch the video that was linked earlier. And this is where to find the code for the LangGraph.js AI agent that exposes Hedera mirror node APIs in an MCP server. So again, skim this code or watch the video that was linked earlier. Excellent. Those were all the quick walkthroughs of the code, and a more thorough walkthrough maybe we'll follow up with another video dedicated to those. So these were intended just to briefly orient you through some of the sample code that would be good for you to look at. The videos that were linked earlier, do go check them out for the full walkthroughs. And for HIP 991 and HCS10, hang tight and you'll be in better hands with Michael Cantor and Ty Smith next week. Now, time for tips when building your project and about how to navigate the hackathon itself. As a baseline, in this hackathon, while it focuses mainly on AI and AI agents, remember that this is still a Hedera hackathon. And in that vein, you must build on top of Hedera. And that means that you must use the Hedera SDK or use EVM tools in the case of HSCS. If your project makes use of LLMs to interact with the Hedera network, make use of Hedera Agent Kit. If your project monetizes AI agents, we recommend using HIP 991 for that. If your project involves on-chain communication with AI agents, we recommend using HCS10 for that, for both agent-to-agent comms as well as agent-to-human comms. I'll also point out that the HCS10 and HIP 991, those two standards, they work really well together and in fact are quite complementary. So if you use one of those, quite likely it is a good idea to use the other. We've even designed the tracks to take this into account. Another tip is that your project does not need to reinvent the wheel. For example, you do not need to write your own agent kit that talks to Hedera. Why do that when there already is one? You're encouraged to make use of any open source resources in your projects. This is a hackathon after all, so you will be strapped for time. Therefore, spend it on the most important stuff. In a similar vein, to maximize what you can build within such a short time period, you are encouraged to use AI tools to build. Even give vibe coding a shot if you're up for that. However it is that you choose to build your project, do ensure that it adds significant features or functionality over the baseline. Projects that are a minimal wrapper around an existing tool, library, or framework won't score very well. Do check out the guiding questions section on the hackathon page for some ideas and inspiration for what would make for a good hackathon project. Next, how to navigate the hackathon itself. The number one pitfall that I've seen mentoring and judging blockchain hackathons for the past 6 years now is this: last-minute attempts to deploy onto the network. This is the most common reason that projects do not submit, or submit but do not meet the minimum requirements. Pro tip: on the very first day of the hackathon, make sure that you figure out how to get something up on testnet. Create an HCS topic, mint an HCS token, deploy an HCS smart contract, right? Whatever it is that you think your project is going to need, go ahead and do that on the first day. Testnet HBAR is free, so you can get it from a faucet, so there's no reason not to. Then, after developing your full application and you're ready to submit, you won't have to figure out how to do it for the first time, and it'll be more smooth sailing. This tip deserves a slide all to itself. Don't auto-disqualify yourself. This is really easy to avoid. There are more tips as well. Earlier, I mentioned code generation and vibe coding AI tools, for example, Cursor, Windsurf, and Klein. When you use these tools, the most common approach is to start with an empty folder and start prompting from there. There is another way that tends to get better results, which is to use an existing project as a starting point and take it from there. The next few points are around ensuring that you put your best foot forward with the judges when they are evaluating your submission. The two things that all submissions must include are the code repo on GitHub and a demo video on YouTube. In your code repo, in your README, the best thing to do to help the judges quickly and effectively evaluate your submission is to add certain information into the README. 3 things in particular, right? First off, create an entities heading, and underneath it, link to relevant HCS topics, HTS tokens, or HSCS smart contracts with their hashcan URLs, so that judges can find your on-chain activity quickly. Second, create a how it works heading, and underneath it, link to specific functions on lines of code, which are the key parts that you would like to emphasize and direct the judge's attention to. Third, for the demo video, you're essentially performing a walkthrough of how to use your project. It could be CLI instructions or GUI instructions. So create a walkthrough section and list those steps so that the judges can manually test your submission. Doing all of this, right, it makes it much easier for the judges to evaluate your project, and crucially, ensures that they will not miss any part of your project that is important to you. Let's wrap up with some admin, or rather some really important things to remember. The hackathon page will contain the actual date for the full hackathon. These are the key events in that schedule. Note that the virtual demo day will only be for those shortlisted for the prizes. Not all teams will get to participate in that. What makes for a good idea to build at this hackathon? The hackathon page has a guiding question section, which I strongly recommend that you check out for details on this. In any other hackathon, you'd want to build something with good UX and good DX, and same goes in this one too. But how about the experience for an AI agent interacting with your project? Consider that as well for this hackathon. In any other blockchain hackathon, there's always submissions that do the same few things, or same few categories of things, I should say. What can you accomplish that is new and better precisely because you are using AI? What are the things that you typically wouldn't see before? In this hackathon, consider those as well. In track 1, the standards for HCS10 and HIP 991 are especially important. Definitely incorporate them if you're in that track. There are many other HIPs and HCS standards as well. If you're using any of them, definitely highlight them in the project's README. Finally, ensure that you have on-chain elements. That means that you must have something on-chain on HCS, HTS, or HSCS. You're not on your own in this hackathon. You've got your teammates, of course, but you also have access to resources and mentorship. There's general documentation, hackathon specific resources, and there are also specific software that you can build on top of or build using, some of which I've highlighted earlier. There is also an opportunity to practice your pitch with mentors. And finally, there's the Hedera Discord with a dedicated section carved out for this hackathon. You'll be able to get help from the mentors there as well. Speaking of mentors, here we are. You're in pretty good hands. How are your projects evaluated? The majority of it will come from the repo that you have submitted plus the demo video. For those who are shortlisted to win prizes, you'll also get an opportunity to pitch. And the full breakdown for this is available on the hackathon page. Now, time for the fun part. If you're successful, you'll win some prizes. And just to recap, there are 3 tracks, each of which has 10K available, right? 6.5K for the best project and 3.5K for the runner-up. That's a total of $30,000 up for grabs. All right, that's all. Thanks for tuning in, and I wish all of you the best luck. And I hope to see some really cool projects coming out of all of you.